Hi, this is Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Hope everyone's doing well out there. So let's see, was there any news in the hobby this week that affects people that grade cards? I guess so. SGC has moved over to collectors to join PSA, the evil empire. No, I'm kidding. But I'm a big SGC fan, although I have a million. I have hundreds of PSA cards. I just prefer SGC. The first card I ever got graded, I sent to SGC. And I'm going to show that card. I believe this is my first card. My memory's kind of shot. This is 20 plus years ago. And it's the Grover Alexander here. You can see the old label. Came back a 3. I had no idea back then, you know, what this is 20 plus years ago, what it was going to grade. I just felt confident that SGC would do it, grade it correctly, just because they had, I guess a few, I call them senior graders, even at the early stages. They really knew their stuff, knew the different issues, knew what to look for, whether a car was fake or not. So I felt confident in them, if I remember. And small company, just enjoyed. So over the years, I've sent most of my cards to SGC. You know, I don't send that many cards in nowadays. Most of the things I do are reholders, or yeah, pretty much reholders nowadays. What I pick up is usually already graded. As you know, I like the rare stuff, and so some of the rare stuff comes in PSA, which is fine, or even BVG or SGC. So I don't discriminate. If it's a card I want, I'll grab it. But just unfortunate. Back then it was a business. Now it's big business, and I don't know. The hobby seems to be changing daily nowadays. There's always some kind of news. So I'm gonna stay off your lawn, guy. Just unfortunate, but hopefully, maybe, you never know. Small chance for the better. But we'll see. So that's my little spiel on grading companies. Let me show you a few cards, some big boy cards. Little background before I show you these couple cards about the American Caramel Company, however you want to pronounce it. They started their business in 1889 in Pennsylvania. They had 2 offices, York and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And by the early 1900s, by 1908, they pretty much controlled 90% of the caramel business. It would be sweet to know if the caramel was actually any good or not, but they controlled that 90% of the business. Well, they're known with us to be issuing cards. Different sets, multiple sets over the years, starting in 1908. So I have a card from their first issue. It's E91 of John McGraw here. Very generic, size of a tobacco card, pretty much. See down here, American Caramel Company. And I'll get you to the couple big boys in a second here, but I also, the next year they came out, that was the E91A, this is the E91B, Christy Mathewson. A lot of times being, a lot of this set, they just changed the jersey, changed the name down here, and you know, a lot of times you can't even tell who the player is. But it is just a beautiful card. These weren't that popular, God, even 5 years ago. You know, nobody really wanted, because they're pretty generic, but they seem to gain a hold now. And They can be rather expensive depending on the player. Well, they continued to produce sets over the years. In 1921 and 22, they produced 3 different sets, larger cards. And I want to show you one of the cards, which I've shown before. And this is the 1922 American Carmel E121 of Babe Ruth in a 2.5, which I can care less about, okay? I'm just saying 2.5. Nice example. This is called the photo montage card of his. Back in the early 1900s, a lot of photographers, famous photographers, would make these types of photos or produce these types of photos where you would have images of multiple players on the photo. And this just happens to be, you know, the Ruth montage. In the back, you can kind of see what it looks like. And many of you have probably seen this card before somewhere along the way, whether it be at the National or maybe even eBay or in an auction house. Well, American Carmel Company took a 5-year break from putting out cards, issuing cards. In 1927, they produced their last set, and it was called the E126. And I'm going to show you a card in a minute, one of the cards in the set. It was a 60-card set. Now, why did they take a 5-year break, and why 1927? Well, maybe one of the reasons, we really don't know, but one of the reasons might have been that Ty Cobb, being with Ruth, the biggest famous players in baseball, well, in 1926 was his last year with the Tigers. 1927, he moved to the Philadelphia team. Well, which is, you know, obviously in Pennsylvania. Well, American Carmel Company, based in Lancaster, York, Pennsylvania. Maybe the American Carmel Company, riding the coattails of Ty Cobb, being that famous, decided to put out one final set. And it was their final set because actually they went out of business 1928. They went bankrupt, American Carmel Company. So what the card I'm going to show you is, which is very similar to the one I just showed you, is the 1927 E126. And you're going to see the difference here in the fact that you don't have the field on this one down below, but you have a larger image of the Babe on this particular card. It has a glossy finish to it. It's numbered. This is number 38. This is the only year that they actually numbered cards, the American Carmel Company. And definitely has a different back, as you can see here. Now, 90% of the cards in the 1927 set were reissued photos, recropped photos. So you can see this one being very similar to the 1922 montage card. This one is definitely more scarce. A lot of people get this confused with this one because you see this one fairly often, but you don't see this one as often. So they think, you know, if you don't see them side by side, you think it's the same, from the same set. But obviously it's not. Pop on this is in the 20s. Probably the reason why they just didn't produce as many cards of the 1927 set. They went out of business the next year. Maybe they just didn't sell as many boxes of Carmel. So really cool to have this one added to my collection, and love my Ruth cards. This is one of my, I mean, I really do like this one more than this one. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Forget the grade and so forth. I think this one, I don't know. This one is one of my favorites. So, hey, thanks for watching. This is Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Bye.